Thanks for sticking with us on this midday. I'm Christy Diaz. President-elect Joe Biden slightly widening his lead over President Trump here in Georgia by more than 12,000 votes now. Yet 1 week after the election, Georgia's still too close to call. President Trump and his allies continuing to make unsubstantiated accusations of voter fraud in a number of states. And overnight, the Attorney General directed prosecutors to investigate if they exist.